Hello, everyone. Good evening to everyone here. A very warm welcome to today's webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining the session on how to sell your product and services to big companies and major government projects in Saudi Arabia, with a special focus on vendor registration and pre-qualification. My name is Adia, and today I will be your host for today's webinar. So let's give a brief about Saudi Arabia, what the session is all about. As you know, Saudi Arabia is witnessing one of the most largest project pipeline globally, driven by Vision 2030. However, many capable companies are struggling to access these opportunities, not because of the capability, but because of the registration, compliances, and pre-qualification requirements. So today's session is designed to clarify that process and help you understand on how to position your company correctly here. So, anybody who is new to analytics, would like to give a quick introduction about analytics. Analytics is actually a global consulting firm that supports companies in formation and legal compliances, market study, vendor registration, and growth strategy in Saudi Arabia and other GCC countries, particularly in government and large enterprises ecosystem. So first of all, I would like to introduce our speakers. We have here joining us senior expert from analytics, Mr. Ansar, vendor registration and pre-qualification expert who has extensive expertise helping in regional and international companies to get approved with major actually Saudi entities such as Aramco, Cybec, NEOM, SIG, and other government organizations. So I would like to hand over to Mr. Ansar to begin the main session. Hello, Mr. Ansar.
Hi, Atia. Thank you very much for giving a brief introduction. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining with us. Let me get into our topic before we are talking much on these subjects. I'm here to give you a brief idea what exactly is going to take on from here onwards, from in terms of like developing your business in Saudi Arabian market. The session will be covering majorly like four topics. What are the Saudi market opportunities are there? What is like vendor registration and pre-qualification, how it is going to expedite your businesses across this geographical region. The third thing will be like regarding to your registration process and compliances. What are the documents required for these kind of registration? What are the platforms you need to get registered in order to grab the projects across this KSA market? And the fourth will be like a client study. We will give a brief insight how people are getting benefited by using these government tendering platforms, especially with vendor registrations, pre-qualifications, and even like with the local compliances like certifications and accreditations. So let us move to the next slide. I will be talking quickly on the scale of opportunity in Saudi Arabia right now. I think everybody is having an idea. Saudi Arabia is having an investment of almost like $1.5 trillion of current development progresses are being going on here, which is been including from the oil and gas industry, in marine industry, offshore industry, even in the infrastructures, commercials, and AI technologies. So the people who are already been here, they are having like a massive opportunity to scale their business, regardless of in which segment they are working. Let it be like a trading company, let it be like a service industry, let it be a manufacturer. So the platforms it is being opened here is massive. Even with the 2030 Saudi vision, you can see like what are the futuristic project is being already going on across the Saudi region. Let's take about the Western region with Saudi Red Sea Global Project, where we are having like Amala, like artificial island projects are going on here. In Central region, we do have like Diria and Kidia, which is again like some futuristic projects are going on. Even in the Neo, we are having like Trochena, we are having Oxagon like project. We are also having the line project. Even in Eastern region, once you are considering, we are having most of the oil and gas industrial projects are happening now. So the study says that at this current growth of development, even like the existing with the existing suppliers and the service providers, Saudi is not enough to fulfill these kind of requirements. It is getting like pretty much like high demand for the products and services, and that's the only reason we have a record of company registration during the last quarter of the year because people are expanding their business regardless of in which segment they are being working and expertise. They are moving and they are putting their headquarters in the kingdom. So this is why we are having a good scale of opportunities in Saudi Arabia. Let us move into the next slide where you can give a clear idea what is vendor registration because today's the major topic is like we are covering the basic hustles which need to be fulfilled once your company is being registered here. So this is one of the major registration process that you need to have like an idea to fulfill your requirement to avoid the basic hazards. So vendor registrations is basically the uh, document conformity in order to work with your end users. Let's say you wanted to work with Saudi Aramco, they have their own like uh, critical document requirements are there. They need to make sure their suppliers or trader have minimum requirements of documentations ready. Let's say cybersecurity certifications. This is one of the mandatory document Saudi Aramco is looking forward during the registration process. They also need a like they need to make sure your company is having enough quality or your company is being having the financial stability or legal requirements is being already carried out, especially to do the business here in the kingdom. So this will includes like the major documentations like company CR, that will be the Zakka Gosi. All the government platforms need to be like active and it should be like in a running condition. Every document has to be updated. This is the most important thing, which is including your Saudi cessation certificate, national address, your financial statements, your bank letters, and goes like that. Even for the specific sectors, let's say you wanted to get pre-qualified or when registered with most of the end users here, they are having very specific requirements like ISO certifications and quality manuals, which is including the basic like QHSE manuals, safety manuals, quality policies, which also looking forward like cybersecurity certification. Let's say like your company is being planning to deal with Saudi Aramco, it is one of the mandatory certification that your system should be implemented with cybersecurity certification. 6 months back onwards, even with SABIC, they initiated a process called Cyber Trust certification, which is becoming a mandatory requirement now. They are making sure like almost all the entities which is already been registered with SABIC is having this Cyber Trust certification and it has to be renewed every 2 years. And then the other additional document is called local content certification and Jadir certificate. Both of them are which is being required here nowadays when you are dealing with government entities or semi-government entities or even with private entities, it is becoming a mandatory document. So what do you mean by local content certificate? This is similar to ICV in other GCC countries. Let's say in-country value. Like this is all about like supporting your localization, like local people and local products. So if your company has been registered here, you need to make sure you have these local content certification also. Every year it has to be renewed, then only like your local score will be increased and that's how during the bidding process you get like priority in getting the job awarded. So once a company is registered here, the minimum duration is like 6 months. 6 months you should be here, then only your audit report will be generated and that's how you can get the certifications. Getting back to other documents are like civil defense certificate. Let's say you are a manufacturing company here. Civil defense is one of the mandatory document for you in order to get registered. Let's say you are a trading company. Yes, civil defense is mandatory for you. And the other document is called SFDA license for importing and exporting. And even for the manufacturing segment, in certain like sectors, you wanted the SFDA approval as well. So getting back into the next slide, you can clearly see like what opens up with vendor registration here. So the story goes like this. Okay, people think like opening a CR and making all the government platforms ready is enough for running their business here. It is actually not the right decision. It depends completely upon what kind of service or trading you are into. Let's say like you have a trading company and you would like to deal with some of the marine clients over here, some of the offshore clients, which is being dealt by Saudi Aramco or like a Sabic or Saudi electricity company. So it always depends upon in which segment you wanted to penetrate. So what happens is like whenever your companies are being registered, before even moving your sales team and operations team, you need to make sure you are completing the basic registration with all these end users. with whom you are going to work in future. Then only the the sales or the progress, the business progress will be like expediting in a faster way. What happens is like when your sales team are moving and approaching any project sites related to these end users, they will be connected with all the main contractors, subcontractors, and even with some of subcontractors. So whenever they are having a meeting with these people, they will ask you the same question. Are you registered with our end users? That's, let's say, Aramco. So if the answer is no, the conversation is getting blocked over there. You will not get a further access from that. So the right option is like get registered with almost all these platforms, especially with these end users. And then if you are approaching them, they will entertain you for the RFQs and for the upcoming meetings and everything. So this is how you need to process with them. Here you can see like some of the government platforms are also available. So once you get registered with these companies, you will be having a portal where RFQs are being popping up there, and you can do your quotation submissions over there. You can do the invoicing, you can get your payments. So every data and details of the projects and requirements will be coming up over there. So it always depending upon what kind of service you are providing and what is your target audience. So based on that, we can give you like the proper guidance how you can penetrate into this business. Is vendor registration required for your business? This question every owner should ask themselves, like whether these kind of registrations or accreditations or these platforms, the registration is required for my company or not. Again, I am telling you, it always depend upon what kind of service you are providing or what kind of product you are selling here in the market or what kind of product you are manufacturing and what is your targeted customer. So based on that, you need to look forward because without having these platforms registered, you will not able to supply your material. You will not able to serve your customers. So yes, when the registrations are required for the services, if in case like you are planning to deal with these kind of major end users and their subsidiary companies. So it is a mandatory requirement in terms of fulfilling their basic requirements. Let's say like you wanted to participate with the tender with Aramco or Sabic or any private entities. Let's say you wanted to deal with Neom or Red Sea Global, this primary step is like getting registered with them. Then only you will be getting this opportunity to work with those entities. So coming back into the next slide, the post vendor registration pathway. So what happens is like people often think like vendor registration itself is giving them like opening their door. No, this is only like the primary step. So what happens is like once you are registering with all these entities, you have like a vendor ID and you will be getting an access to their portal. Definitely, this is giving you a privilege in order to start communicating with all the multiple entities which is coming under their projects. You can start communicating with them. You can be their vendor and you can start serving them. But if you really wanted to work directly with all these end users, based on your service sector or a trading platform or a manufacturing category, you need to make sure you are fulfilling the next step, which is called as like pre-qualification. Let's say I have a service company and I'm dealing with a scaffolding services. So the first step that I need to make sure is like I have the vendor registration with almost all the entities which I'm willing to work. Then down the line, I need to make sure I have a pre-qualification. So what is making a difference with pre-qualification? Once I have the pre-qualification, I have the direct access to work with these end users where my margins are getting better. So this is something else. Every company which is already existing in the kingdom, if you have the vendor ID, if you still don't have the pre-qualification, you need to look forward to it. The other thing is like product approvals. We call it as like NANCOM approval in terms of like Aramco's client. So what do you mean by product approval? If you are having a manufacturing license and a manufacturing unit over here in the kingdom and you wanted to register your product, you need to go with your product registration. Once you register your product only, that product will be listed in their vendor list against your company. So let's say you are a pipe manufacturer and you have a manufacturing unit over here. You need to make sure it is getting like NANCOM approval so that this product will be listed in the vendor list and against that product, your company's name will be popping up. So anywhere in Saudi, if this particular product is being required by the vendors, they can see your company, and that's how these RFQs can be generated to you, and you can start doing business with them. Similarly, for a trading company, let's say they are already registered here, the primary registrations have been done. Then they have one option called being a local stockist. Again, how they can be a local stockist, there are certain conditions are there. So in order to become a local stockist, they need to make sure they have certain areas of warehouse here where they can stock their material, and they do have enough investment fund to keep this material and purchase this material. This is the minimum conditions that it has to be like a local stockist for a trading company. So these are the secondary steps after vendor registrations every company has to follow. Most of the companies have this idea, but they struggle to go through all this process because it's a lengthier process. The questionnaires are lengthy, the timeline is a lengthier. The only reason is like it's because of the lack of expertise they are getting delay in all these things. So this is where like consultancies like us can guide you in the right direction to secure these spots. So getting back into the next slide, we are discussing here mainly about the common challenges. So what happens is like the companies who are already existing here, they often end up in wrong platform selection. It always depend upon what kind of services you are having and what is your target audience. So again, I'm telling you, there are like several platforms out there. So you need to understand what kind of a sector I need to be targeted. So that's how like my picks can be like identified. So what I would suggest is like whenever you are having any service company over here or a trading company over here or a manufacturing company over here, you need to identify your competitors, you need to identify your service utilizers. That's how you need to target all these platforms to get registered. The second thing is like document gaps. So when the people are getting into the registration steps, what happens is like often the documents might be like having like it might not be like fulfilling in a complete scope. Like whenever they started the registration, it can happen like the validity might be expired. Sometimes they will be lacking of these documents. They don't have any idea what all the document has to be covered up. So because of all these reasons, the normal registration timeline can extend until to 6 months or even like 12 months, and that's how they are holding themselves in terms of like making the revenue. So imagine like a company is already here and they don't have been like registering with all these platforms. What they are doing, like they are themselves like holding back in order from like expanding their business or making finding revenues from the market. So this is what like common challenges are being happening here. Some companies might have like lack of missing certifications also. They don't know what all the documents are being required. Usually during the registration process, sometimes some document has to be chambered. People don't have an idea about it, so it get rejected and they come back again. Sometimes people the platforms will be requesting for specific certifications like local content certifications or ISO certifications or even like quality manuals they will ask. So during this process, what happens again, the questionnaire will be like repopping and we need to start doing from the beginning. So it is killing the time. Instead of like serving the industry, we are like keep on ourselves dragging the entire process. The fourth thing is like poor follow up. What happens during the registration process? Whenever there is the registration is been completed, people will forget to like have like follow up on these statistics. So definitely what happens, they don't get like approved again. Once they start like searching on the current statistics, they will get to know that their documents, few of their documents are being expired, so they have to start like again renewing that one. They have to re-upload them. They need to like chase for this again. So these all are these steps like again like taking their entire process into a lengthier timeline. And what I always suggest is like whenever people are ready with their complete operational conditions here, they need to make sure all these documents, what is being required for the specific registrations are being ready and uploaded on a timely basis in order to avoid all these kind of delays. I know like you will be having certain questions whenever I'm moving over here. What you can do, there will be like a chat box. You can start asking your questions over there. At the end, we will be having like a Q&A and we can discuss further during that session. So if anybody is coming across with certain questions regarding the major platforms or registrations or its timeline or the pre-qualification process or what all the end users that we are having over here, any type of questions, you can ask over there. Getting back to the next slide, here you can see like the major registration portals. I would say like it is not even like I would suggest like it is not even like the complete platform here. There are n number of platforms out there, but still some of the major platforms is being already shown here. You can see in the screen we have Etima platform. This is one of the platform which people are being using in order to do the bidding with the government entities. So if you have no idea about this, try to register with Etima platform, and that's how you can engage in the government businesses. We have another platform, we call it as like SAP Ariba portal, where almost all the end users in the energy sector, manufacturing sector, and power and utility sector, even in the construction and offshore, every client's like, let's say Aramco will be there, Sabic will be there, Neom will be there, Red Sea will be there. We have Diria, we have Kidia, we have Mardin, like n number of like entities are already available in the kingdom. So all these entities platforms are being connected with SAP Ariba portal. So once you start registering with those end users, you can see these RFQs in that portals. And that's how you can start bidding and you can start networking with these clients over there. Another platform is like DGA, which you can register with DGA platforms. And other one is like Monchat. Monchat is also one of the platform that you can consider in order to penetrate your business opportunities. One platform is there which we call as Forza. This is also a government entity platform where you can register there to like most of the government projects through that portal. It is not to be as Forza as well. So at least like you need to make sure your company is based on your service or based on your sector, you are getting registered with some of these entities just to make sure you get into the right place, and that's how the entire momentum of your process will be like expediting. So this is our one of our last slide where I will be giving you a clear idea of some of the client cases, how it made like a big difference in terms of like making their revenues and fulfilling their requirements. So there is a client based in Riyadh recently, which got stuck with their 1.7 million Saudi riyal in one of their projects. What happens is like the end user, after supplying the entire material, they asked for the submission of local content certificate. Unfortunately, the company is not eligible to provide the local content certificate because they are only less than 1 year. So in that case, they cannot submit the financial audit, and that's how they cannot submit the local content certificate because financial statement is one of the minimal requirement for the local content certificate. So how we help them is like we secured them a local content supporting letter from the auditor side, informing that the coming years local content certifications will be carried out by ourselves. So that's how they got the entire payment from the end user. So that's how like they secured their project over. So similarly, there are like multiple clients approaching us nowadays after doing their basic registration. They got the momentum, and that's how they identified the market is so wide enough to expand, and they wanted to go further in depth. So people are approaching us for doing their pre-qualification, especially for their core services. So there will be like a lot of list of activities will be there. You need to make sure you are registering where you are expertise in. So people might have like questions. Okay, my company is based in Eastern region, or my company is based in Central region. So what are the entities that I need to look forward? So my suggestion is like, if you have the resources enough, if you have expertise in your particular services, you need to focus on your geographical area. So whatever is being core activity is happening there, you need to start registering with them. Then you can move into the rest of the regions also. So if you have enough manpower and enough branches across this region and enough technical capabilities, doesn't matter. You can start registering with almost all the entities and you can start like networking there and you can serve them as well. So it's all about like how potential enough is your capacity. So this is all about like, a brief idea about how these vendor registrations or pre-qualifications and product approvals are helping your companies here in the kingdom, and what all the documents is being required in terms of like registrations, and how you can expedite the things and how you can find out the revenues. So I will hand over this session to like Afia back, just have like a Q&A. I hope like, a lot of questions have been popping up here and we can have like a detailed discussion over there.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ansar, for the insightful and practical overview of vendor registration and pre-qualification in Saudi Arabia. That really clearly highlights why many companies struggles and what needs to be done to overcome all those barriers. So now we will open the session for live Q&A. Please drop your questions on Q&A box and we will be answering them shortly. So we will start with our first question. So what are, this is to Mr. Ansar, what are the different type in which you can register as a vendor in Aramco?
So, you're asking like what are the types of registration that we can do in Aramco? In
Registration,
Aramco,
yes.
yeah, in Aramco, basically there are like material vendor is that if you're a trading company, you can register as a material vendor. If your company is a service company, which you are serving like, let's say like construction or maintenance or rental services, in that cases, you can register as like a service vendor. There is one more category which you can call as like a manufacturer. So if you have a manufacturing CR with a manufacturing unit and manufacturing license, you can register as a manufacturer as well. So this goes like this as well. If your company CR is having the activities, including services and trading, you can even register as like a material plus service vendor as well, like manufacturer plus service. Sometimes some companies will do the manufacturing and the installations of their equipments also. So they can register as a manufacturer plus a service vendor as well. These are the categories that you can see, like, in terms of like categories.
Okay. Here goes the second question. What is the timeline for Aramco vendor registration?
The timeline in the sense like for vendor registration, usually it depends upon like whether you have these basic documents or not. Let's say your company is not having the cybersecurity certification. Usually it takes like 1 week to fulfill your implementations and get certificate. Another 2 to 3 week for the entire vendor registration process. So let's say like less than 1 month. This is the usual timeline.
Let's go to the next question. What can we do if we don't have a local content certification as a new company to deal with end user that I'm mentioning as a requirement?
It's often like very difficult in case like if you don't have like the local government certificate to deal with the government or semi-government entities. But however, if your company is very new and if you don't have the financial statement, there is an option, but it is not viable every time. But in certain cases, we can support them by giving them like a local content plan. We call it as like a local content supporting letter. So how these make like rectified is like based on your project and the entity who is asking for this local content certificate, we will be giving you a supporting letter by requesting to the auditor in terms of like we will take care of their entire local content certifications responsibility for the coming year. And that's how we submit this letter, and some clients are getting like leverage like in continuing the business with these people. This is how we can help them.
Let's go to the next
Usually, the
question.
local content certification timeline is minimum a company should be like 6 months old enough and they should have like incoming and outgoing expenses. Then only we can take the financial statement and
So, Mr. Ansar, can we move for next question?
yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. One of the question has come up now. PQ is available for SABIC.
Now the pre-qualification is not available for the SABIC, unfortunately. SABIC again, SABIC vendor registration is like a two-step process. First one is like vendor registration, which will take approximately like 1 month. Then this is the pre-qualification process, which will take another 1 month. Now Sabik is been having this PQ is been hold for certain months. According to I think from October onwards, they informed us for 2 months they have been like holding the PQ. But right now, it's been more than 2 months now. Still, some of the sectors they are not releasing the PQ. But yes, for certain sectors they are releasing the PQ also. It always depends upon what kind of service or activity that we are serving. So right now, most of the clients are having facing this issue. The pre-qualification is not opening in the system. So possibly like in coming days, it can be open and we can resume the registration process.
Let's move to the next question. How can you help with the local content certification?
I think this has been already discussed regarding the local content certificate. We can help them once they have the latest financial year statement, which is being audited by a third party. We can help them to secure them. Minimum 1 year's financial audit statement should be there.
Okay, so let's move to the next question. I'm in a construction field and I need some government opportunities. How do I get it?
If you are into a construction field, I need to understand like what exactly is your location. Let's say like you are in the Riyadh location. So there are like, government project platforms. You can start registering with Etimat account. Like there is like an yearly subscription opportunity where you can start and participating in the government meetings and all. So this is one of the opportunity that you can look into. Apart from that, there is like application called for sale. This is also one of the platform that you can start registering and you can get like government biddings and you can activate in the bidding opportunities over there. The other opportunities are like, let's say, there are like private and semi-private entities are there. Like Diria is there in the central region. If you are into construction, we have like Kidia is there. You have Red Sea in the western region. You have like other entities in northern regions. You have, and even here in eastern region, if you are looking, there are like n number of entities like the projects with these people.
Okay. Mr. Ansar, can we move to the next question now?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Do we need any sort of invitation or a registration link from any of the vendors to start the onboarding process?
Yes. It happens like it depends upon what kind of vendors that you are looking into. Usually, with a vendor registration link only, you will be able to start your registration. So, in terms of like Sabic, yes, it is happening like that. In terms of Saudi Electricity Company, yes, you need to have like a registration link. Then only you can move forward further. In terms of like Neo, yes, again, it is required. So, it depends upon which kind of end users you are being looking into. So, in most of the things, they need to send you an invitation link. That's how you get onboarded. I hope it's been answered.
Moving on forward to the next question. What other platforms do we need to be having for this registration?
Again, like I have been covered that part. In the platforms often depends upon what kind of scope of activities you are into. Like, so let's say you are having like a trading or a service or a manufacturing. Depending on that, you have like a number of platforms are there. Starting with like Sapariba portals are there, where you have like multiple end users are already existing here, like Aramco, Sabic. You have like Maden, you have Sadara, you have Sator, Petrorabik, multiple client listings there. If you are into government projects, you can start registering with Etima, then you can start doing your bidding over there. And if you are into private entities, you have like other options as well. Like SMEs are there, like Munshat is there. You can start registering in that platform as well.
Move forward to the next question. Can list what are the major documents required as a trading company to get approved?
See, as a trading company, again, in which platform you wanted to get registered. This is very important. So the basic documents are same as like you should have like company CR, VAT, Zakah, GOSI, Chamber of Commerce. You should have like national address, bank letters, your article of association, and everything has to be there. The only thing is like if you are a trading company, if you wanted to get registered with an Aramco entity, you should have like a civil defense certificate also. This is one of the additional requirement as like a trading company you should have.
Moving forward to another next question on how to get registered under SAMI, Saudi Arabian military industry.
See, this one we need to look into it for getting registered with SAMI because we haven't encountered any kind of recent requirements for SAMI. Usually, if you are dealing with defense industry, what I understood is like the local content registrations is pretty much important. You should have like a good score. Then only like you can even start registering with the defense organization. They will make sure at least like your 60 or 50 percentage of the services are being carried out locally itself. This is very important.
Moving forward to the next question, what are the minimum certification needed for a media production company?
Again, for a media production company, we have like multiple entities are here right now working who are looking forward to work closely with the events like Tiva, who is looking to work into corporate events. So for these certain things, you need to have like the registrations already done with all these end users. So without having these registrations in place and without having the government legal documents, because as a media company, you should have like certain government documents has to be fulfilled, then only you can cover all these events across this region. So it again like depends upon in which industry you wanted to penetrate. Let's say like you wanted to move into corporate events, or you wanted to move into entertainment, or you want to move into some other segments, depending upon each segments, the requirements are being different. But the basic documents are same, like every minimal document has to be fulfilled here. And as a media company, you should get the approval from the Ministry of Entertainment as well.
We have another person who was just talking about his construction field and who was looking for government opportunities. He has said how old his company should be. It's a follow-up question from the previous
Yes,
one.
yes. I think there is no criteria for that one. If you are like even 1 year, you can start registering with that one. There is nothing like difficulty in that one. I think he already mentioned he is based in Jeddah as well. So regardless of the regions, it is fine. You can register there. The basic documents has to be there. That is the only condition.
Okay, I hope it's clear for him. Moving forward to the next question. You have told some softwares to be, we have to subscribe for vendor registration.
Again, this is not software. We were talking about the cybersecurity certification, in fact, because see, as per Aramco rule, they have made sure, like, all the bidding portals are being secured in terms of like to avoid like any kind of malware attacks. So they have like certain norms. Before you're registering with Saudi Aramco, they need to make sure entire your system is being compliant with their requirements. They have like, as of now, 23 controls are there which you needed to implement in your system just to make sure your company's data and things are being like secured and not leaked out in terms of like any malware attack. So for those things you need to make sure you should have that cybersecurity certification. Let's say you are dealing with Sabic, because even Sabic is also now implementing these things, but they didn't make it mandatory for every service sector. Slowly they are making sure, like by giving a 120 days timeline to implement that system. Even Marden now they have implemented from last November. They are making a mandatory requirement for cybersecurity certifications. So all you have to do is like you need to make sure it is getting implemented by an approved auditor and it is being certified. That's it.
Move forward to the next question. For a service and trading LLC, which components, Saudi wages, local services, local asset, community investments usually have the biggest impact on the local content scope?
So for a service and trading company, usually there are like five parameters are the major five parameters. I think one is like Saudi wages itself. One is as he have mentioned, like the training and development amount, because you need to make sure your people are getting like training and development, and how much money you are investing in that one. This is also becoming a criteria for increasing your local content score. Local services also, this is increasing your things. Local assets as well, this is also being a part of that one. And community investment as well. I think community investment is also giving like more add-on advantage in terms of like raising your score. The most important thing is like local services and local assets. The rest of the things are being coming under them. All these factors are being divided with your the current, like the investment amounts. So this is how like your scores are being like rectified.
Moving forward to the next question. Adding to the SAMI, how Bing Engineering Solution provide Beam, my company, can enter to Sear, Lucid, or Hyundai Motors in Saudi?
They are more focused into, I think, the vehicle industries, I believe, with the engineering solutions. For Sea, Lucid, and Hyundai Motors, what I believe is like they should like approach them directly for the registration process. There isn't any other separate platforms that I would know in order to get registered with them. So it has to be through their portals itself. They'll be having like a separate portals in order to get registered by getting in touch with their headquarters over here.
Moving forward to the next question. Is Analytics an approved auditor?
This question I need to rectify. Like approved auditor in means like in which sense, like because if it is regarding your local content certification or cybersecurity certification, yes, we are not an approved auditor. What we do is like we help you in securing this one because we'll be doing in the implementation. For example, your company wanted a cybersecurity certificate. Our IT team, which is having the expertise in doing the implementation, they will help you to secure this implementation done properly. And the auditor has to be an approved one, which is already coming under Aramco. Let's say for cybersecurity, there are like 17 plus approved auditors are there. So only those auditors are supposed to give you the certificate, and these auditors are not supposed to do the implementation, where analytics will be taking care of the implementation on behalf of you. If it is regarding your local content certification, again, it has to be from an approved auditor, and analytics is not an approved auditor for it. What analytics will do, we will ensure your complete data are being like matching up with your score, local score, and this will be coordinated within the auditor and we will submit it to the local content authority.
Moving forward to the next question. What is the usual time period after sending a registration request through a portal to get a reply back? If we didn't get a reply or approve, what is the next step to follow?
Okay. Again, this depends from portal to portal. They are not giving like a clarity on it. Let's say if you are talking about like Saudi Aramco, usually once you submit it, the 6 working days are their timeline in order to come back. If they are not coming back, you need to make sure you are contacting with their supplier help desk to get an update. And you can even send an email to them. So similarly, in other platforms also, they have their own like help desk is there. You can try connecting with them by either by call or either by email. This is how you need to make sure it is being followed up.
Let's move to the next question. What are the most effective ways for a service company to increase its goal in short term, between 6 months to 1 year versus a long time?
Yeah, the most appropriate thing is like you can make sure all your local purchase and assets are from the local manufacturers itself. This is one of the option. You can make sure all your equipments which is being utilized for your services are being purchased from Saudi made industry itself. You can make an impact on it. Apart from that, adding resources is not a good thing until and unless you require them. Like when it compares to like a long term, the rest of the things are like in terms of like training and development. You can look into this one in short term. If you have like a 50 plus employees, you can invest in their training and developments also to increase their services. I mean the local score.
Moving forward to the last question. How much weight in the formula is given to Saudi employees' wages compared with the local procurement and capital assets?
This one we need to look into this one. Usually the formulas are being like all these criterias which I have mentioned earlier, that is the local availability of employees, their trainings, how much you are investing in their training and development, how much material you are acquiring or how much service you are giving to the local market, how many assets you are having within the region. All these factors are being combined and we are dividing in order to get this score. So based on this specific one, we need to look into it. How is there any like difference is there in the formulas or not. But as of now, what I understood is like all are being equally like measured.
Okay, so thank you everyone for excellent question and active participation. Also, thank you, Mr. Fernandez, for answering all the questions. Now, before we conclude, I would like to share how we can help you and support you in further end-to-end services with the vendor registration, pre-qualification, and compliances, and documentation support with the government and large entities engagement. So if you would like to know further and if you have more questions, whether your company can be realistically get approved and what are the gaps that needed to be addressed, our team can guide you through the process. You can book a free consultation and our team would be happy to connect with you. So on behalf of Analytics, I would like to thank all the attendees for joining us today and also Mr. Ansar for joining us and sharing your expertise. So this brings to the end of this today's webinar. Thank you once again. We look forward to connecting with you with in upcoming sessions. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.